Yeah, I think the Maah Daah Hey is one of the most fun races you can do, just because it's all single track and it's such a wide landscape that you go through. Like, it's so different. You have the grasslands, you have the buttes, like tight single track switchbacks, and then open fields. You have some forest, and I think Nick does such a good job putting on this race, and it's such a fun community. So yeah, coming back for my third time this year.
In every story, it's easy to see the main characters, heroes, the focal point of the story. But as the story writing is refined, there are also characters whose story fall to the floor, cut from the narrative. You might recognize them if they are pointed out to you. These are characters that sometimes pass into focus for only a moment. Maybe you didn't even know you should be looking for them. But these stories are not gone. They just need the light to shine upon them. Two untold tales have been found. Two stories from this year's Maah Daah Hey 100. This is Maah Daah Hey, and these are the lost chapters.
So ahead of the race, I went through the start list, and I went through every single person on that start list of the Maah Daah Hey 100, and I searched up their race results, I searched up their Strava and creeped around a little bit, because I wanted to see who were going to be the people that were going to factor in this race. I knew Gordon was going to be really fast, and I knew Thomas was going to be really fast, but we didn't quite know who else would be there. I came across this name Chris Bessler from Golden, Colorado, and he had just won the Butte 100. The Butte 100 is a legit 100-miler in Montana, and it is kind of a litmus test for the Maah Daah Hey 100 in showing who's going to really hit during the race. During the years where Tinker Juarez and Josh Tostado came and dominated, and not only did they dominate, but they broke records, they usually were winning the Butte 100. So when I saw Chris Bessler from Golden, Colorado had won the Butte 100, I felt like he checked a lot of the boxes. And so I had race director Nick Ybarra connect us, and the night before the race, Chris and I sat down for an interview. And it started like this.
I'm Chris Bessler. I'm from Munich, Germany.
What? I think we're gonna need some more info here.
So I used to play handball, which is a big sport in Europe growing up, somewhat competitively, as most guys do. Had a bunch of injuries, eventually had to stop, and then was kind of looking for my next thing to do, athletic pursuit to go after. And a buddy of mine asked me whether I wanted to do this mountain bike race in Germany, the Salzkammergut Trophy. And it has a bunch of distances similar to the Maah Daah Hey. And I thought, okay, cool, we'll do the 33 kilometers or 60 kilometers. But he said, no, the only option is the longest, right? And so it's like 210 kilometers, which I think is 130, 140 miles, and 21,000 feet of climbing roughly. And so everyone thought we were completely nuts. We signed up for it. I got my mountain bike 3 months before the race, to the date, I think. And so it was our last year of college. We went riding every weekend and made it 90 seconds under the time cut of like 16 hours. It's basically like sunrise to sunset. And that kind of got me into this. And so I just like looked for new goals. During COVID, moved to the US, to Colorado. Obviously lots of great mountain biking there. And so in 2021, I did a bunch of races kind of across the Mountain West. During my search of like the best races, I found the Maah Daah Hey. and came out here by myself. My partner couldn't travel because of COVID. The borders were still closed. And so I texted Nick 2 days before the race, like, is there a chance someone can get my car from the start to the finish, or like, can I get a ride back? And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll find you someone. And so the night before I texted them again, they said, yeah, just like hand off your key to Big Pete or someone, like some guy, I don't quite remember the name. At the start, I couldn't find him, so I handed my key to some girl that like had a Maah Daah Hey shirt. I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to hand in my key here. And then rode off, basically leaving behind all my belongings in the car. And then got to the finish line a couple hours or many hours later. And my car with my second bike was parked at the Maah Daah campground. My car key was lying on the table. I never met the guy, couldn't figure out who he is, but I figured that's such a cool community. I definitely want to come back here. And so, yeah, that's why I came back in 22. That's why I'm back now.
Big Pete is, in actuality, Uncle Phil. And Uncle Phil is local horse whisperer, excellent mountain bike rider. He could probably have won Volunteer of the Year every single year in the races associated with the Maah Daah Hey and the Badlands Race Series. He is Nick's mentor, thus called Uncle Phil. He is always involved on race day. He might be leading the race out, or he might be starting the race, or he might be wrenching on a bike in an aid station. In 2019, he gave me a pep talk at the Wanningen aid station, and that pep talk is a huge reason that I was able to finish the race. Big Pete, I mean Uncle Phil, does all those things every year. And in 2021, he did all of that while making sure Chris Bessler's car got from CCC Campground to the Maah Daah finish line. This kind of community and care and love are a huge reason that so many people come back more than once to the Maah Daah Hey races.
In 2021, barely made it to the finish line and vowed back then that I would come back, and then I did it in 22, but the race had to get, it was very cold. I was on a pretty good pace, I thought, but the race had to get called at mile 44 or something because of the rain. It was a pretty miserable experience. So I took a year off, and yeah, now I'm back.
You said normally I'm a guy that just lines up at the back. What about tomorrow? Like, you're coming off this win, you know you're fit. Are you gonna line up in the front row tomorrow?
If I recall correctly, they have these like line markers, right? Of like, what's your goal time? And I'll probably line up at the 9-hour mark. I think if I hit the 9 hours, that's probably, there's like a small chance I might hit it, but my main goal is to go sub 10 for the belt buckle. I don't really wear belts, but it's just like the thing you go after at these races, right? And I think Nick in 2021 talked about this like concept that he read in the Comfort Crisis book that he talks about a lot.
One of my favorite books, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. You know, he's like, do you know what a misogi is? I'm like, yeah, man, like that's one of my favorite books.
Every year you should have a goal that even if everything goes perfectly, it's like a 50% chance of hitting. And I think my goal, like that type of goal for me this year, is like going sub 9, which, yeah, would be quite fast considering like I'm not a pro. The course record is 8:22. But I think everyone kind of overpromises wherever they line up, like if you give like a goal time. And so it feels like 9 hours is probably a fair spot for me to line up.
If you want it bad enough, you'll get it. And I think for me, it was just like, I wanted an answer to the question, do I have what it takes? Sometimes when you think you're done and you have nothing left to give, you're only at 40%. And the people that can tap into that determination and make their body do what their body's telling them they can't do, then they make it.
hard things open up a different type of beast inside of a human. You can stay at home, sit on a couch, or maybe go ride around the block on your bicycle. But when you come out here, you get a challenge point that pushes you to the next level. Your endorphins, your excitement level, your fear factor, but most of all, your sense of accomplishment just blows through the roof. You survived one of the most difficult rides on the planet, and you had a blast doing it.